Okay, so then we talked about the problems with using children as eyewitnesses in legal cases. So children are used a lot in the court system, especially if you think about child abuse and witnessing crimes. This is probably when children are used the most. And this can cause a lot of problems, because if you think back to our development chapter, according to Piaget, children, especially very young children, are not fully cognitively developed. They don't have a fully developed mind. So there's a lot of problems with using them as eyewitnesses. The first one is delay of questioning. So if you question them like weeks after the event, their memory is going to decay, which we find with adults too, but more so in children. Although I guess for some very young children this might be helpful. It's harder for them to remember right after an event. But for the most part, the longer the delay, the worse the memory. The type of questioning can lead to problems. So if you use leading questions like, did he, abuse you when you were in his office? Instead of saying, what happened when you went into the doctor's office? And if you lead them in one direction, they'll most likely go along with that direction instead of having a nice open-ended question. If kids are exposed to other kids, they're more likely to repeat what they hear. So if one kid says, I saw a guy wearing a red shirt, it's more likely that the kids who hear that will also say they saw a guy in a red shirt, even if they remember a blue shirt. If you repeat the question, a child is more likely to change his or her account. So if you say, if you ask them what time it was, and they say like 5 p.m., and you say, are you sure that's what time it was? They're probably going to change their answer just because it sounds like you're doubting them. And also understanding the question, if you use complicated words, that's pretty self-explanatory. When you're talking to a child, you're not going to use your SAT vocabulary. You're going to make it nice and simple so that a kid can understand what you're saying. And props. Props are actually a huge problem, and they're used in the courts a lot, like show me on this doll where he touched you kind of thing. But kids will make up things with props that never actually happen. So you give them a doll and say, show me where he touched you, and then they make up this whole story, not because they are trying to deceive you, but because, they use props as toys. And so they make believe when they play with toys, so why would they do that as props? So props are a bad idea.